So I think the one thing that took me by surprise when I started doing YouTube was the sheer amount of love people have for Bakugan. And it opened up this entire world for me to experience with you guys. I've mentioned this in some previous videos, but my introduction to Bakugan came as a kid when I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old. This was during the time that like Pokemon Pearl was big, Diamond and Platinum, all those. I was really big into Pokemon as a kid. But during that time, I got exposed to Bakugan. My dad had a side job where we would go and clean this office on the weekends. And it was right next to a Toys R Us. Like, you could not get to the office without passing the Toys R Us. And as a kid, like, that was my treat. It was the best thing ever. Toys R Us was the place to be. So as a reward, after helping my dad clean this office, we would go and he would buy me a toy for helping out. And so I remember just getting into the Toys R Us, and it had this weird like area where you had to like navigate through different like merchandise shelves to actually get to the rest of the store. It was like a trap. And I would run back to the Bakugan section and the dinosaur section because I was super big into dinosaurs. But those are my earliest memories of Bakugan, is helping my dad, and then as a reward I would run to that section of the toy store, and I just remember seeing them all on the walls and all that stuff. And I got to just, pick the ones I want. But the catch was, I was only allowed to get one Bakugan, so I always had to choose carefully. I remember getting a number of different ones. Some of them I remember are various Juggernoids. I had Dragonoid. Tigreira was one of my favorites back then. Plenty of Centipoids and all that, but I just remember I could only get one at a time. So anytime we had to go to the office to clean it, I was always first one in the car to get there. So this brings me to my first point of why I love Bakugan so much, and it's because it reminds me of my childhood. But it also reminds me that we always have that one special Bakugan with us that we remember. Go ahead, think of yours. I know you know it. We all have that one special Bakugan, no matter the generation, no matter when we started collecting. There's always that one that got us started, or the one that really piqued our interest and was like, that's what I want when I start collecting more, or when I get my next paycheck, that's the one I want. For me, it's my Pyrus Delta Dragonoid. I love the design. I don't really know why. It's just the one that appeals to me the most. So within the year, I believe I had collected enough Bakugan to fit just like in a small cardboard box. Nothing too special or huge. I never learned how to play the game, but I did like the idea of the marbles kind of popping open on a card. I thought that was the coolest thing. I believe at that point, my favorite Bakugan was a Chaos Tigreira. As I got older, I stopped playing because, well, I'm a child and our attention spans change. We have different interests, different things come out that catch our attention. So I don't really know where all my Bakugan went. We did a big clean out one time when we were moving houses. They probably ended up in a trash bag somewhere and were shipped off, never to be seen again.
Well, I won't stand in your way, Drago. If that's what you want, then I guess our deal is done. It's over! So long, buddy. We're finished.
But when we moved, I did keep a few, and I have them written down. I kept a Chaos Wyvern, a Pearl Aqua Cyranoid, a Pearl Ventus Monorus, and a Translucent Dragonoid. Those are the ones I remember. I kept them in this little black, it kind of looked like a jewelry pouch. It was velvet. I kept it in a box that I kept in my dresser for a very, very long time. They look cool. They were my favorites, and so that's why I kept them. I thought they were the most unique Bakugan ever. So they sat in my dresser for a while before eventually I cleaned out my dresser and decided I don't need these anymore, and I threw them away as well. This is what brings me to my second point as to why I love Bakugan so much. It's that I think we all have a very similar story. We grew up and we knew what Bakugan were, and we probably had them as kids. We all ended up getting rid of them. They were put in storage, something like that. Everyone's got a similar story. And then we came back to the franchise, but this time as nostalgic collectors, right? To me, this is probably the biggest reason why I love Bakugan. It's just the simple fact that so many people came back to the franchise years later just because they love the toys, they love the anime, or they love the games. I think that's so cool, and it really just blew up the community. And it really blows my mind that there are so many people out there that love this franchise. So this leads me to my next topic, which is I didn't think about Bakugan for a long time after I moved and eventually threw away the Pearl Sirenoid waiver and the Translucent Dragonoid and stuff like that. I hadn't thought about it forever until the COVID-19 pandemic. I was visiting some family and I was hanging out on the couch. It was probably like 6 p.m., something like that. And for some reason, I have no idea why, I was like, man, remember Bakugan? That was pretty cool. And suddenly I just kept thinking about it. I was like, man, those are really cool. I wonder how much they are on eBay now. I went on eBay and I looked up just Pyrus Dragonoid. It did take me a minute to figure out his name and stuff like that. But once I got on there, I saw that they were kind of higher priced than I thought. And I was like, wow, this might be a really cool collectible item because they're not as expensive and outrageous as some Pokemon cards, but they were niche enough to be different. And that really sold it for me. So I went ahead and bought my Pyrus Dragonoid and eagerly awaited it to get to my house, and the rest is pretty much history. After buying that Dragonoid out of pure nostalgia, I looked some more and wanted something a little bit more rare, a little bit more niche, and I found the DS exclusive White Naga. Now I had the game growing up on the DS, but never the White Naga. So I don't know what happened there. I guess maybe I bought the one without the exclusive. Anyways, I really wanted it, so I went ahead and bought it. And I was like, man, that's really cool. Now I have like the main good guy and the main villain. And I needed to know more because I was hooked. And that's when I started watching the anime. I'd literally rolled over and started like looking up where I could watch it on my phone and started watching it, researching it to learn what else I could collect. During that time of watching, I learned how sought after just a single-headed translucent Darkest Hydronoid was, and I knew that I had to get one. Not only because it was super cool, but because my collection needed it. And I spent a while looking for all of the different evolutions, getting the Masquerade evolution set. And then at that point, you know, I had been posting some pictures on Reddit, kind of flexing my collection. Again, collecting had just started blowing up again during COVID, and so I was kind of putting myself out there. And then I finally decided, hey, I'm gonna post the coolest video ever. I'm gonna post my Masquerade evolution set on YouTube. And I was kind of just playing around with it. I had picked, I had an old YouTube channel where I was kind of just playing games, messing around, testing out a mic, and I put it on there on a whim. And yeah, the rest is history. Here we are. So recently I got into a little bit of nostalgia and I'd looked up something called Bakugan again for the first time in years. It's been like 10, 12 years. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a very long time. And I got into collecting them again. So I wanted to make this series as like a review slash nostalgia trip for people who are interested. If you look up a lot of Bakugan reviews now, you get like a lot of 11-year-old videos of like these kids reviewing them, and they're really poor quality. So I wanted to make my own. I figured a lot of people would like it, and I guess I was right. And this leads me to my third reason of why I love Bakugan so much. It's that I get to share my passions and experiences with you guys. That is the biggest thing for me, I think, is that I got to meet a community and meet so many community members and just really share my love of the franchise with you guys, and you get to share it right back. I think that is the coolest thing ever. And it's just more insane to think that a lot of this happened on a nostalgic whim. Like, who would have ever thought that would have happened, you know? Not me. I definitely didn't think so. So just knowing that, you know, after randomly purchasing a couple Bakugan just because I remembered them as my childhood, I would be in this position now, experiencing all this, and I'm just incredibly grateful for it. And I don't know why, I just thought I'd talk about it and make a video on it. I don't even know how I'm gonna edit this. But yeah, anyways, love you guys. Peace out.